delegations. First delegation is Al Garwak.
Through the Mayor to Council, first of all, let me congratulate the town for the great new signage at its parks and rec facilities. They look great. I was a little surprised to see it being used for private commercial uses, but figured there was a good reason. A commercial message was being displayed rather than a community one. May 3rd, I contacted Terry Alyman and asked about the decision to endorse private businesses in Acton's business improvement area. Now, don't get me wrong, after what this council has done to Acton's business improvement area to make it look like a ghost town, I feel the BIA members need all the help they can get. However, if you're going to allow private use of the board, you have to let nonprofit groups use it too, and in no way, shape, or form should you be discriminating against anyone who wants to use it. After a lengthy discussion with Mr. Alyman, he had his assistant forward me the policies and procedures and request forms regarding the marquee signs. After clearly noting no requests from commercial outlets will be entertained, on May 6th, we, the nonprofit news group, the HaltonHerald.ca, submitted request forms to the Acton Arena and Moldmaster Sportsplex, entering into an agreement to rent the marquees for a period of 1 week with the following message: Go green, visit the HaltonHerald.ca. The applications were reviewed by staff and accepted. Registered receipts were issued for $80 for the $80 fees from both facilities. On Monday, May 9th, the day the Halton Herald's message was supposed to be displayed on the Acton Arena's marquee, a message was left for me to contact an Al Haig from the town of Halton Hills. On May 10th, I contacted Mr. Haig and was told the Director of Parks and Recreation, Terry Alyman, had contacted him, instructing him to contact and inform me that the town would not be honoring their agreement to display the Herald's message on the marquee. Of course, I asked him if any reasons were given, and he told me yes. Terry mentioned something about a conflict of interest and something else about the police investigating town council. On May 13th, I finally got a hold of Terry Alyman and requested and questioned his motives. He told me after reading about my involvement in a potential police investigation involving council, reported in the Star on May 6th, he decided it was in the best interest of the town not to display the Herald's message. So the reason I'm here today is, first of all, I want to know what is the conflict of interest this council has with me or the Herald, and what rights do you have to impose sanctions against different entities while allowing commercial use of the boards? I went into an agreement, it was accepted, I paid, and now Mr. Alyman doesn't think it should be displayed. Why? What is the purpose? What is the reason you do not want the Halton Herald displayed on the boards? And that's what I'm here for today.
Okay. Any questions of the delegate? No, thank you. There may be some of staff.
I think Mr. Davis had his hand up.
Is it staff?
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Davis?
Yes, to Mr. Alyman, what is the policy about advertising on the town boards?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor. It's a fairly lengthy policy. Essentially, we in the policy we have priority groups that we've outlined within the procedures. We have quarterly deadline dates where we serve people on a first come, first serve, those people who meet the deadline dates, they're December 1st, March 1st, June 1st, and September 1st. And more specifically, the order in which we allocate the approved advertising is, facility users, regardless of what status they are, Recreation and Parks Department, then municipal use, then registered groups, then service clubs, local nonprofit groups, and then finally commercial groups. So that's essentially the priority order in which space is granted. Beyond the time of the quarterly dates that I identified earlier, then we handle things on a first come, first served basis.
Is there policies which restrict who can advertise or the messages that can be said on the signs?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the council, actually a couple of things there, and the delegation alluded to the one, but in general terms, it's long been my practice not to engage in business activity or essentially suspend business activity, which is what we indicated to the delegation, whereby the third party has either launched an investigation or threatened to launch an investigation on to the corporation. So that's simply a standard business practice which I adopt. The second part of the question is, in terms of our advertising in general, the staff that are responsible for administering our advertising opportunities have a fundamental obligation to either accept or reject the advertisement based on whether or not it proves to be in the best interest of the town or the residents of the town. So in this particular case, unless directed otherwise by council, we wouldn't be supporting, over and above the previous reason that I just provided, we wouldn't otherwise be supporting advertising in this regard because we don't feel it meets the best interest of the town or the residents.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Lewis.
Just if I could, Terry, have we ever had signage up before that's for whatever reasons have come down prior to their expiration dates? And whether that is nonprofit, commercial use, individuals, corporations, or whatever?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor, I can't recall any specific one. We wouldn't necessarily make decisions based on their status. Council recall this is a relatively new procedure that we adopted. The previous procedure didn't have any rates associated with it and didn't provide opportunities for commercial users, or in many cases had limited opportunity for other nonprofit groups.
And if I could, just one more, who ultimately accepts the responsibility for permitting? Who signs off on it, says this sign can go up, whether it's me or anybody else?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor, ultimately that would start fundamentally at the staff person who is administering it. So depending on, we just happen to be talking about marquee advertising at this point in time, but we have other advertising opportunities such as arena boards and our community leisure guide. So it would be the staff person who's directly involved in actually negotiating the advertising request. So they do fundamentally, their supervisor is to initial off on it, and then if there's any other reasons beyond the knowledge of staff that are at those facilities, then certainly their managers, or in this case myself, would come in and overrule things.
Thank you. Our next delegation is Mr. Al Paludi.